You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
He thinks that they're fake news. Not surprisingly, anything that he disagrees with is tagged as fake news. But the Times and the Post have been the most aggressive at pursuing stories that Trump doesn't like.
President Trump attacking Amazon, but the CEO also owns the Washington Post. Coincidence? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on President Trump's war on Amazon in a moment, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. We begin tonight with the campaign for the U.S. Senate coming to the Suncoast. Governor Rick Scott announced he is challenging Bill Nelson this week. Today, he was here. The governor spoke at Marine Concepts this morning, telling supporters he supports term limits for members of Congress.
We have term limits in our state for House and Senate. Most states have term limits for governor, which you should. We have term limits for president. What's the one thing we don't do? We don't have term limits for Congress. So what happens is you have the same people there year after year after year, and they don't, they say, oh, you can't get it done. I want to get it done while I'm there. I want to say, there's a limited amount of time and that you should be here. And on top of that, I can tell you as governor, it forces you to get your stuff done because you don't have unlimited time to do it.
The Republican is taking on longtime incumbent Democrat Bill Nelson. On the other hand, State Representative Margaret Good says Governor Scott is not who Floridians need in Washington and that she is backing Senator Bill Nelson.
Senator Bill Nelson has been a great public servant for the state of Florida. He's really represented us well. He is the type of person that you can be proud of to represent you.
Good says Governor Scott has consistently broken campaign promises. Suncoast schools are struggling to find ways to pay for state-mandated school resource officers. In both Manatee and Sarasota counties, school districts have been paying to have SROs in middle school and high schools for years, but now the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act mandates elementary schools also have SROs. That costs Manatee County schools an extra $1.1 million a year, and Sarasota County schools an extra $2.4 million. The districts are fronting those extra dollars this year, but need a plan for years to come.
The legislature did give us additional money, but even with that additional money on the school district side, the deficit's $1.4 million.
But that categorical funding would leave us short about $3.1 million, and that's the deficit that we're currently wrestling with.
The funding decisions will come as the districts work on their 2018-2019 budgets. A Port Charlotte mom is facing charges after detectives say she ran over her son in the parent drop-off area at Port Charlotte High School. The boy was taken to the hospital with leg injuries. That's where detectives say Nadine Williams tried to hide the fact her driver's license was suspended and she did not have insurance. A Venice man will spend the rest of his life in prison for a double murder. John Allen Lee was sentenced this afternoon after the jury came back with a 9-3 vote for the death penalty. A jury must unanimously vote for the death penalty for it to be imposed. This was the third time Lee was tried in this case. Previous trials resulted in a mistrial and a conviction overturned. The jury convicted him of murdering his ex-girlfriend Tracy Nabergal and friend Jason Salter. 4 new scratch-off games are being rolled out by the Florida Lottery this week. The new tickets range in price from $1 to $10, with top prizes paying between $3,000 and $2 million. Including the new games, there are now more than 60 scratch-off tickets for sale at lottery retailers across the state.
In Florida, people love scratch-off games, no question about it. We have lots of different types of play styles and lots of different themes with our games, so it attracts, of course, our regular loyal players as well as people who are visiting Florida.
Just last month, the lottery set a single-week record for scratch-off tickets with more than $120 million worth of tickets purchased in just 1 week. Several hurricane names are now retired after last year's busy storm season. Harvey, Irma, and Maria caused over $200 billion in damages across the country, and now the names will never be used again, along with Nate, after the World Meteorological Organization's Hurricane Committee officially retired the names earlier today. In all, 86 hurricane names have now been retired. Now let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist, Hurricane Bob Harrigan, with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. Bob has been retired. It was a storm that hit up in the Northeast. I don't know if Alan has. I think it has, though. We'll check that and get back to you a little bit. But these are the names coming up for 2018. Alberto is the first storm to have a name. If we see a storm, and I think we will, the forecast is for 14 named storms this season. You can see some of the others: Beryl, Chris, Debbie, Ernesto. If they look familiar, they are to some folks, because they recycle the names every 6 years. So those new names that Alan had talked about and the ones that retired will be listed again in 6 years from now. Let's hope we don't get to William. That's my middle name. If we get there, we're in some serious trouble. The forecast is for 14 named storms. Now, that's slightly above average, but pretty much average number of hurricanes and average number of major storms, according to Dr. Philip Klotzblau of the Colorado State University, who projects these storms. And he just came out with an email today because of the El Nino forecast. It's actually gone up now to 39% chance of it happening during the peak of hurricane season. If that does happen, we're not going to see nearly the intensity of the storms that we saw last year. We definitely won't see as intense storms this year, but even less than a normal season if El Nino does show up. Just about a month ago, it was only at 29%, so that's a good sign there. A good sign tomorrow, we're going to see beautiful weather, 83 degrees by 3 o'clock. It will be a little bit more humid. Boy, you're going to notice it Saturday, though, as the humidity soars. The temperatures will, too. We're talking upper 80s on Saturday. And then the rain comes in on Sunday, and we could see some rough weather like they're seeing now in Texas and Louisiana and Oklahoma. The Severe Storm Forecast Center, the Storm Prediction Center, is suggesting some tornadic outbreaks over the lower Mississippi Valley on Saturday.
And by the way, Hurricane Alan is not retired. He has 2 kids in college and needs to keep working for a living. Still to come, why is President Trump attacking Amazon? Does it really have anything to do with the U.S. Postal Service?
Want the latest weather and traffic conditions wherever you go? Introducing ABC7's revolutionary new First Alert weather app. With our state-of-the-art new weather app, you get up-to-the-minute weather alerts, interactive radar maps, current conditions, 10-day forecasts, real-time traffic maps, and weather video from ABC7, all at your fingertips. And it's free. Just search Suncoast WX in the App Store and download onto all your devices today. Sponsored by Mr. Sparky.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
Set your course for a waterfront lifestyle on Florida's last private island. Discover one particular harbor by Margaritaville. Nearby sugar sand beaches are as easy to find as the warm Florida sunshine. Waterfront residences from the high 400s overlook beautiful Anna Maria Sound. And a new marina with direct access to the Gulf of Mexico. Plus, incredible savings on move-in-ready homes. Come tour designer models today. Visit ophmintousa.com now.
Florida Studio Theater presents Blue Suede Shoes, celebrating the birth of rock and roll. From the father of rock and roll, Chuck Berry, to the king himself, Elvis Presley, this musical review features such great hits as Rock Around the Clock, Mustang Sally, Johnny Be Good, and of course, Blue Suede Shoes. Critics are calling Blue Suede Shoes a burst of rock history, dynamic and high voltage. Audiences are calling it phenomenal. Blue Suede Shoes has been held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
CashNet USA is trusted by over 2 million customers.
Perfect. When I lean back, I trust that you will be there to catch me.
Okay, bad idea, bad idea.
Apply now at CashNetUSA.com.
Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
Back in the day, a major controversy might stay on the front page for days or weeks. Now it is hours. It was back long ago, last week. President Trump went to war with Amazon. That might seem like ages ago, but as ABC7's Jess Dowdrick explains, it's had a huge impact from Wall Street to Main Street. Jess?
Alan, President Trump has been criticizing Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos nonstop. Bezos also owns the Washington Post, which is near the top of Trump's list of fake news outlets. So is this feud really about Amazon, or is it about the media coverage of his presidency?
President Donald Trump criticizes Amazon on Twitter, claiming that the United States Postal Service is losing $1.47 every time it delivers an Amazon package.
The post office is losing billions of dollars, and the taxpayers are paying for that money because it delivers packages for Amazon at a very below cost. And that's not fair to the United States. It's not fair to our taxpayers. And Amazon has the money to pay the fair rate at the post office, which would be much more than they're paying right now.
But some say the Postal Service isn't losing money from Amazon packages at all, but actually making it.
They get a bulk rate because of how much that they use, but there's not anything about Amazon's deal with the UPS that's different than any other entity that would use it as much as they do.
Former U.S. Representative Republican David Jolly reminds Americans that USPS was experiencing great financial difficulties just 10 years ago.
And the reality is, contract with Amazon and the shipment of packages has been a boom to the Postal Service.
The attack, almost unprecedented.
Obama got angry at Staples once and issued a statement because they were claiming they were going to cut back on hours after his Obamacare Act.
But in my experience, I certainly have never seen a president that would go after a single company. Once in a while, a president will go after an industry, whether it's energy, whatever it may be, automobiles. But to go after one company is rare, if not basically unheard of.
When Trump came out aggressively, business commentator Richard Stern says Wall Street responded in a negative way.
The market went way down. I mean, way down, because we're in uncharted waters. Then the market did recover a little bit, and every day, frankly, is a new adventure.
Trump's attack seems to be just about Amazon itself.
He's a businessman. He understands how businesses work, and he wants to make sure that some of the smaller businesses are working as well. He's frankly very afraid that Amazon is going to run even more companies out of business, going to close more shopping centers, and that's certainly not what he's looking for.
Trump worrying that Amazon will turn into a monopoly.
Of course, they're acquiring companies such as Whole Foods. That makes a difference, and that makes people like President Trump even more afraid that this company is just going to take over everything.
But how much, if any, of the attack has to do with the fact that Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos also owns the Washington Post?
I think a lot of it does.
Trump hasn't exactly hid his disagreement and lack of support of media, such as the Washington Post.
He thinks that they're fake news. Not surprisingly, anything that he disagrees with is tagged as fake news. But the Times and the Post have been the most aggressive at pursuing stories that Trump doesn't like.
So how does this end? Political analysts think the feud will just wear out.
But I think for the Trump, given his past record of behavior at a certain point, he'll move on until he thinks about Jeff Bezos again, and he'll come back and start attacking him somewhere down the road.
Amazon shoppers shouldn't worry, though. The company, it's not going anywhere, Alan.
All right, Jess, thanks a lot. Coming up on the Trapezoid, we have it covered. The perspectives from the Suncoast's most respected economist, one of Sarasota's best financial advisors, and one of the keenest and savvy political analysts anywhere.
When I was growing up, my mom told us, always treat others the way you want to be treated. She did business with companies that shared her values, like Mutual of Omaha. She had a guaranteed whole life insurance policy through United of Omaha Life Insurance Company. A Mutual of Omaha company. When my mother passed away, her United of Omaha policy helped cover her funeral expenses and bills, and they had money on its way to us within 24 hours.
United of Omaha is here to take care of you. When you call the number on your screen, we'll help find the right policy for you. If you're between 45 and 85, you can get coverage up to $25,000 with no medical exam. Call us right now at the number on your screen.
Now I know I'll be taking care of my family, even after I'm gone.
United of Omaha Guaranteed Whole Life Insurance. Call or go online now. Be there for their future.
We all love our kids and want what's best for them. You have the power to help your kids learn to succeed in life every day. When you promote a love for learning at home, children build the skills they need to be ready for school. You can be their everyday hero. It's easy. Just text Everyday Hero to 77453 for simple learning tips.
As a financial expert, I tell people if you want to be successful with your credit, Credit Sesame is the best place to start. Hi, I'm Lynette Kalfani-Cox, the Money Coach. Maybe you want to buy a car, a home, or just remove some financial stress. Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score. Then they'll show you what's impacting your score and suggest a strategy to better manage it. Credit Sesame even recommends lending options that can save you money. Best part? It's 100% free. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Choral Artists of Sarasota presents Saints and Singers. The powerful voices of the 40 choral artist singers are joined by acclaimed mezzo-soprano Amy Jo Connors, performing John Rutter's arrangements of such beloved spirituals as Joshua Fit the Battle of Jericho, When the Saints Go Marching In, and more. The concert also features medleys highlighting hits from Broadway and the sublime music of Cole Porter. Sunday, April 15th, 7:30 p.m. at First Church, Sarasota. Tickets and info are at choralartistsarasota.org or by calling 387-4900.
Welcome back. Do you shop on Amazon? A whole lot of us do, but have you stopped to think about what President Trump has been saying about the retail behemoth? That Amazon has been driving other retailers out of business. It doesn't deserve the bulk rate shipping from the post office. Is President Trump, however, really that concerned about smaller retailer companies? Or is it the fact that Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, and it's the Post which is breaking story after story about Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election and contacts between the Trump campaign and the Russians. Joining us for more are Michael Snipes, an economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee, Frank Alcock, a political science professor at New College, and Richard Stern, our own ABC7 business commentator. And Richard, I'm going to start with you with the impact that the president's multiple tweets, I believe 6 tweets over the last week or so, has had on Amazon stock. Put it right up on the screen.
For perspective, there you can see it. The Amazon, can you give me that number? I'm sorry, I just can't see that far. Getting old. Amazon year to date is up 23.75%, while the S&P is up less than 1%. The 1-year return, I believe, will be next. The 1-year return is Amazon up 63.fraction%. While the S&P is up just under 13. The 5-year return for Amazon, more than 40%. Now that's an annualized figure. That's not a total figure, that's annualized. That versus the S&P being up by 13%.
But, funny you should ask, over the last 10 days, or since March 12th, Amazon stock down by 10.25%.
Correct.
So there is no debate whether the president's comments really have had an impact on the stock price for Amazon.
No question about it.
You know, Jeff Bezos, Frank, is the richest man in the world. Is it a good idea to pick a fight with the richest man in the world who just happens to own the most, or one of the most influential newspapers in the world?
Whether it's a good idea, whether or not it's a good idea to pick a fight, I don't think this president has seen anybody as off limits. Richest man in the world, party icons, the Pope. And so if he is angry about something, he lashes out, and time will tell whether or not there's any consequence for him.
Michael, in terms of the economy, we have a good economy now, although arguably there are issues in terms of middle income wages and so forth. But how dangerous is it for a president to pick on a particular company?
It is unusual. And one of the things that you're going to see when something like that happens is the stock price change, because really a lot of the times what the price of a stock really reflects is information. And kind of the better the information is, the more complete the information is, the more accurate the price will be. And certainly whether or not the president is kind of personally attacking a company, that's going to show up in the price.
Richard, in your long distinguished career, have you ever...
Thank you.
How many times have you seen a president go after a particular company?
Not in my memory. I certainly have seen them go after the oil business, or they'll go after the automobile manufacturers, things like that, but I don't recall ever seeing them go after one specific company.
Obama went after Staples very, very briefly.
In what way?
I think Staples, I forgot what their reaction was. It was Obamacare, and kind of went a little beyond the pale in terms of their reaction to it. And it was just simply one, I think, statement of the president.
Basically that Staples was saying that it was going to hire less or fewer people there. Do you recall what the public reaction was? At
It
least
was
the
a single
reaction?
statement. I think it was noted, and everybody moved on. It wasn't a vendetta on the part of the president continually going after a Staples. So we're talking about very, very different things here, I think. And the case with this president, too, I don't think it's, he doesn't like Jeff Bezos because he owns the Washington Post. I think that's what he's mad at, but yet he's attacking the economic model of Amazon. Probably not because he's upset about the economic model for Amazon. He's upset at the Washington Post.
But Michael, there have been people who said, look, the president has a point in terms of what Amazon is doing to retailers, and one of the people who has been saying that is Bernie Sanders, not a real ally of the president.
Right. And that is an argument that can be made. You can almost kind of think of Amazon as kind of an online Walmart. They're just so big, and they can offer prices that are lower than what a lot of brick and mortar retailers can offer. That would put pressure on smaller businesses. It's a lot more convenient. Sometimes you can get it for cheaper. That would put pressure on smaller businesses.
Okay, we are just getting warmed up, and we'll have much more on the president's war on Amazon right after we check the First Alert weather. Stay with us.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
20 years ago, the moviegoers of Sarasota looked up at the silver screen and wanted something more. And they got exactly what they wanted. 20 years of some of the best independent films from around the world. The most iconic Hollywood stars walking the red carpet. The most glamorous parties in Southwest Florida. 20 years building up to the most exciting announcement in, 20 years. At the Sarasota Film Festival, April 13th to the 22nd.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
Says Art, Sarasota's only area rug superstore.
Selfless service is the principle that guides Army National Guard soldiers to be ready whenever disaster strikes. They have a stake in the well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times. Selfless service. It's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Our conversation on the president's war on Amazon continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. By the way, I checked on your name. It has been retired. It was a massive storm, 190 mile-an-hour winds. Now, Alan hasn't retired because he's got lots of bills to pay, but the storm itself has 190 mile-an-hour winds back in 1980. Casey Key webcam showing beautiful conditions out there on the beaches. It's been a little bit rough going for boaters. Not bad, though. Seas running around 2 to 3 feet. Titan radar picture showing some showers along the east coast. Not much going on here. Things are fairly quiet and will stay that way throughout the day tomorrow. We are not anticipating any rainfall on this side, but on the east coast there are some showers approaching Cape Canaveral and along the east. Currently it's 76 and sunny out there. Dew point is at 56, and as far as the high goes today, it warmed up to 83. That was our high today, 83 degrees. That's slightly above average. This morning's low was comfortable, wasn't it? 57. Well, the GFS forecast is showing some storms across the lower Mississippi Valley tomorrow. Some of those storms will be heavy at times, and that should be on Saturday, too. The weather could be rough in terms of tornadoes, a pretty good chance of that happening over the lower Mississippi Valley. By the time the front approaches us, it shouldn't be as bad, but there's still a chance to see some thunderstorms come late Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon and evening, and then that rain clears out of here and it turns much cooler as well as the storm system heads off to the east. Well, the forecast again calling for that rain associated with a cold front that's going to slide on through. That front itself is now developing over the central United States and will continue to move off to the east and southeast. We are looking at snowfall now into parts of Canada. That's weakening, so rain across the northeast. Snow falling over the northern portions of the Rockies now. As far as snowfall totals go, some pretty impressive amounts. It could be blizzard-like conditions in places like South Dakota, central Minnesota, and even into western Wisconsin over the next couple of days. The snow, I think, is going to stay away from the northeast for the most part, although they will get some, but not as much as they've seen this spring. Well, temperatures have really sprung up. Cleveland now 77 degrees, 89 in Dallas right now, 73 in Kansas City. That long-range forecast, although they're experiencing some warm weather now, that colder air will be sliding down in and will stick around throughout the week next week as the trough and the jet stream will dig over the eastern third of the nation, and things will tend to warm up, though. By next weekend we'll be back into the warm temperatures here. It's going to be warm and muggy here on Saturday. Temperatures will get into the upper 80s and the feels like temperatures will be in the low 90s. For boaters tomorrow, winds out of the southeast turning to the south at 15 knots to start the morning, and then 5 to 10 knots in the afternoon. Seas running 2 to 3 feet with a moderate chop in the bays and inland waters. The water temperature now 76, 80 degrees for area beaches tomorrow. Should be nice. UV index will be high, and the 7-day forecast shapes up to be pretty nice weather tomorrow. In fact, gorgeous, sunny, 85 for your high. A little bit on the warm and muggy side on Saturday. You'll have a taste of summer, I think. And then showers and storms, especially in the afternoon and evening. Some of those storms could be strong and can produce some moderate to heavy rainfall. But then look what happens. Cools down on Monday. Tuesday looking good too, 75. So pretty good work week next week with the heavy rainfall on Sunday. Alan will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
The La Musica International Chamber Music Festival, the annual celebration of a distinctive cultural gem in Sarasota, with renowned musicians from around the world. April 9th through April 18th at the Sarasota Opera House. Visit lamusicafestival.org, click on Festival, open tickets, and get your seats now.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call, and you cannot be turned down for any reason. Even if you have health problems or are living on a fixed income, guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance policies could work for you, with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
My mom didn't have life insurance and the cost all fell on me. And that's expensive. We're still paying for that.
Yeah, we're still paying for that.
Call 1-800-218-4991. Now, in one phone call, you can help prepare your family with protection amounts up to $25,000. There are no medical tests or health questions. And remember, you cannot be turned down for any reason. In fact, TrueStage policies are already protecting over 18 million Americans. And rates are designed to be affordable, starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease.
When I leave, everything will be taken care of.
for them.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now for a free, no-obligation quote. TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-218-4991 now.
Welcome back. We are talking about President Trump's war on Amazon, and joining us for more are Michael Snipes, an economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee, Frank Alcock, a political science professor at New College, and Richard Stern, our own ABC7 business commentator. Let me proffer a statement or a question by a dear conservative Republican friend of ours who said, why are we talking about this? This is so last week. Look at everything that has happened this week in Washington with the president and with Congress and Paul Ryan and yada, yada, yada. The question is, whoever wants to answer it, is there a long-term impact for the president going after this company? Frank?
Well, I don't think that there would be a long-term impact. You know, the numbers that we saw at the very beginning already kind of start to indicate that the stock price for Amazon has already started to bounce back from the dip that we saw last week in response to what the president said. So long term, you know, I think like we were talking during the break, it's probably just the president blowing off steam. It falls short of any kind of direct action that would kind of bump it up into a whole nother level.
What would change that? What would change the possibility of Amazon being in any kind of danger from a sustained presidential campaign?
You know, you're dealing with a president who, you know, is sort of unprecedented, so I don't know that I can answer that perfectly, but I will say that Amazon, in my judgment, is doing a lot of things right. Obviously, they've been incredibly successful because they're giving people what they want. They're giving them delivery on a timely basis. And the positive also is, guess what? Walmart.com, Target.com, all of these companies are realizing what Amazon has done, and they're trying to, in their own way, mirror it. So it's actually a terrific business model.
Frank, you'll notice that Jeff Bezos and Amazon has not responded to the president's tweet storm. In fact, a communications expert says, I don't think there's any benefit actually engaging with the president on this.
I don't think there's any benefit engaging the president on this if I'm Jeff Bezos. I think he's doing what he should be doing.
But what, let me ask you this. What's the danger to the president? Because if Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the entire world and can make sure the Washington Post is as well funded as any newspaper in America, you know, one would argue the Washington Post, which has a gold standard in terms of journalistic integrity, but they're certainly not going to shrink in terms of its continuing investigations.
And I think that there is some risk there for the president. I think again, the integrity and the credibility of the Post is pretty important. So if they run afoul of over ramping up, you know, that could hurt them. But I think their coverage and the scrutiny of the president will be relentless, and they'll have Bezos will have the resource to do that. And so he need not speak. He'll just let his reporters continue to do their work. And I don't think there's much of a threat unless there's something that the president does through executive action that disrupts their business model. If that were to happen, certainly you would see a reaction, you know, on the value of Amazon, but that would set a precedent that beyond a lot of bluster, this president might intervene in ways out of spite with major companies that would, again, be a very, very big story.
All right. I have a question for you, Richard, and you, Michael, and it's one in the same. We have seen the stock market after a pretty long period of sustained growth actually kind of tumble a little bit based upon certain things that the president has said. Is that having a larger impact on the stock market right now?
Well, believe it or not, I'll answer that by saying, let's see what tomorrow brings. And the reason I say that is we're just starting now to get earnings for the most recent quarter. And JP Morgan's going to come out with their earnings, Citi's going to come out with their earnings, Wells Fargo. And what's interesting is, will the market react to those earnings? Because in the last 30 to 45 days, the market is 100% driven by current news. Has nothing to do with mathematics. It's
and
totally
usually
current news.
Right, and usually say it's driven by the earnings and not current news. So this is something just a little bit different.
Absolutely different.
Overall, Michael, what kind of impact could this have on the economy in general?
Well, it's really just the president kind of blowing off steam at one particular company. I can't really see any way it would have an impact on the economy as a whole. And again, if we think about stock prices really just kind of reflecting news and information and information about a company, really what is going to be more important for a stock price is how profitable that company is, right? Exactly how much we're earning. That's going to be a lot more important in determining the value of a company, the value of a stock, than something that the president tweets.
Does anybody here actually believe that the criticisms that the president is making towards Amazon in terms of driving smaller retailers out, or the issue with the post office, is going to maybe change things for the better and force Congress to do things that many would like to see it in terms of creating a situation where other retailers have a better chance or at least a more level playing field?
Well, his discussion or his talks or his statements about the post office really by and large just aren't true, because the post office doesn't really collect taxpayer money. He claims that it's the taxpayer bailing them out because they're shipping their goods for a lot lower, and that's not true. The post office doesn't collect any public revenue, and at the same time they're paying the same rate as every other large company that does a lot of shipping does. So there's really not a whole lot of truth in what he's been saying about the post office. But with respect to smaller businesses, that's not really kind of the approach that he's taken. He's really kind of more approached the post office than anything else. And there might actually be a grain of truth to the statement that it could affect smaller businesses, but at the same time, that's always been a concern.
Frank?
Yeah, no, I think there's certainly the model. This is, Joseph Schumpeter, very famous, political economy writer from the last century. This is creative destruction, and so it's a very, very successful business model that Amazon pursues. But there are a lot of casualties to it, and there are pain that comes along with their success for small businesses. If there was something about the Amazon business model that they were receiving preferential treatment that their company and other businesses were not, and there was something that the president wanted to do to fix that, to make things more fair, then this could be very impactful. But I don't think that that's what's happening here. Right. I don't think this is not what this is about.
So if I understand all of you, what we have right now is talk, which has had a short-term effect on Amazon stock price, but we have seen this president arguably do other regulatory moves that do infect certain businesses. And I'm thinking about AT&T's purchase of Time Warner, which includes CNN, which is now the Justice Department is litigating. That is a real decision by the Justice Department, is it not, to stop or go after a merger? Yeah. And some would argue it's because the president doesn't like what CNN does.
Well, it's not the first time that the government has stepped in to try and prevent mergers, so it's not completely unprecedented that that particular aspect is happening. The motivation as to why this merger might be trying to be stopped, that might be unique. But the fact that there's a merger that's trying to be stopped, that's happened several times throughout history.
Yeah, I would agree. The president does have a lot of discretion. He can intervene on mergers. That's not what we're talking about with Amazon. It's more about their model. Again, if he was somehow to force the issue and extract a higher price per package, then that would be impactful. But I don't even know if he's thinking about going there. He's blowing off steam. So.
I think one thing I just want to say is Amazon is being penalized, or could be, for being very entrepreneurial. They basically built this business. Remember, they started out selling books. Amazon was a bookseller, period, the end. And they've grown just a phenomenal company, and for them to be penalized for building a better mousetrap sure doesn't make any sense to me.
Does this pretty much go away with the next earnings report from Amazon?
Well, it depends on the president. Certainly the earnings report the last quarter was excellent. Most people believe it will continue to be excellent going forward. So the answer is it really depends on the president, because right now Amazon's reacting to news, not earnings.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Michael Snipes, an economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee, Frank Alcock, a political science professor at New College, and Richard Stern, our own ABC7 business commentator. When we return, Michael Snipes will tell us about the link between the tax cuts that we just received and the looming budget deficit. Stay with us.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big, or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $15 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand with no surprises and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 4 times in a row. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and start your 30-day risk-free trial today. Call 800-457-2317, go online, or visit a Target store today.
The Wild Broadway series brings you Funny Girl. Fanny Bryce dreams of being famous and through sheer guts and determination becomes a star of the Ziegfeld Follies. Playing March 28th through April 15th, it's the songs and story that generations have grown to love. Call the Player Center at 365-2494 or visit us at theplayers.org. Don't rain on my parade. Come see Funny Girl.
Set your course for a waterfront lifestyle on Florida's last private island. Discover one particular harbor by Margaritaville. Nearby sugar sand beaches are as easy to find as the warm Florida sunshine. Waterfront residences from the high 400s overlook beautiful Anna Maria Sound. And a new marina with direct access to the Gulf of Mexico. Plus, incredible savings on move-in ready homes. Come tour designer models today. Visit ophmintousa.com now.
When money's tight and emergencies arise, CashNetUSA.com is available 24/7 to deliver quick loans for approved customers when they need it the most.
Apply now at CashNetUSA.com.
Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
Get breaking news alerts focused on the Suncoast. Download the ABC7 News app.
Welcome back. In December, President Trump officially signed the GOP tax plan. Taxpayers are celebrating the president's tax cuts. But what will the impact be of a $1 trillion budget deficit have on our future? And here to answer the question and more is, once again, USF Sarasota Manatee economics professor Michael Snipes. So, Michael, what I wanted, everybody likes a little extra dough in their pockets. Some are getting more than others. But we keep on hearing that this $1 trillion budget deficit is really going to bite us at some point.
Yes. And again, I've worked up another example here to maybe hopefully kind of help us understand exactly what all the issues are. And so to start with, let's think of this balloon as representing the economy. And as we see here, we've got a white square in the middle of it. And let's say that that white square represents how much the government is spending. And so in order for the government to cover its spending, it has to cover it with tax revenue, right? And so the proposal is, well, if we cut taxes, that should grow the economy, right? So here we have a growing economy. But the question then becomes, well, we still have this white rectangle here that still represents government spending that we still have to cover. So the question then becomes, well, if we cut tax revenues, right, by cutting taxes, what that does is that creates a deficit. We're not covering the entire square. Right? And so that's one thing that I think is important to understand, is that when we're talking about a deficit versus a debt, deficit is what we're adding to it, right? It ended up being a little smaller than I thought it would be. But really think of it as deficit really being what we add to the debt. So because we don't have enough tax revenue to cover our spending, that creates a deficit, which we then add to the debt. Right? So the question then becomes, if we cut taxes, we need a way to try and inflate the economy, right? And so we don't want to balloon the deficit, right? So the whole thinking was this tax revenue that we cut, well, if we try and pump it up now, we've got a gap here, right? The pump won't work and we can't inflate the economy. So the idea is to take those tax cuts and put them right there. Then we have a complete pump. That pump will pump up the economy, and as the economy grows, then we are going to be able to cover the spending that we needed to cover over here. So that's really just kind of the quick way of thinking about this whole idea of using growth to pay for spending, is that, well, if we have a bigger economy, well, then we should be able to cover the same amount, even though the white square government spending is a smaller portion of the overall total.
But I keep on hearing on the different networks and in the newspapers that economists don't believe that there will be enough revenue growth to cover what we are creating in terms of deficit.
True, and that's one of the concerns, right? So the key thing that makes this whole process, this whole system work, is this piece here. If this tax revenue doesn't get reinvested back into the economy, then we're stuck with a broken pump that won't grow the economy. So it's this tax cut that we have that's really key, that makes the whole thing work. And so there's a couple ways that the system can break down. One is we could be off on exactly how quickly we think the economy is going to be growing. The other way that we could fail is if this tax revenue never gets invested back into the economy in the first place.
Okay, there's so much more to talk about, but Michael,
Certainly
thank you very
is.
much. Michael Snipes joins us every Thursday to discuss the world of economics. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather. Plus, are we on the verge of a war in Syria?
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
So, how many of us feel completely confident about our financial future? Let's hear some specifics. Yes, go ahead.
I don't want to be a burden to my kids. When my husband died, it took almost all of our savings to give him a proper funeral. I honestly don't know if there's enough to bury me, let alone cover expenses should something happen.
Okay. Let's talk solutions. One thing you may want to get in place is a guaranteed whole life insurance policy from United of Omaha Life Insurance Company, which is a Mutual of Omaha company. This is affordable coverage, which provides a cash payment which can cover funeral expenses, bills, and other financial needs. Most payments are on their way within 24 hours. Yes, sir.
I need medical exams, things like that.
No medical exams. If you're between the ages of 45 and 85, you can call this number or you can go online and apply for coverage up to $25,000. United of Omaha Guaranteed Whole Life Insurance. Call or go online now.
As a financial expert, I tell people if you want to be successful with your credit, Credit Sesame is the best place to start. Hi, I'm Lynette Calfani-Cox, the Money Coach. Maybe you want to buy a car, a home, or just remove some financial stress. Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score. Then they'll show you what's impacting your score and suggest a strategy to better manage it. Credit Sesame even recommends lending options that can save you money. Best part? It's 100% free. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
I'll tell you, Alan, Van Way's webcam showing a beautiful day out on the bay today. Perfect. Lots of sunshine around. Temperatures are warming up to near average. Really, we had a cool start. Temperatures mid to upper 50s to start things off this morning. We won't be quite as cool tomorrow morning, but it'll still be nice. Low temperatures down into the low 60s for the most part. Right now, we're starting to see an increase in that moisture along the East Coast as a result of that high-pressure ridge, which continues to sit just off the Carolina coast. This high pressure will give us this east to southeasterly wind flow, and that will bring our humidity values up along with our temperatures over the upcoming 48 hours. In fact, right into Sunday, we're going to stay warm prior to the arrival of that cold front. I mentioned the rainfall on the East Coast. There's not much, a few showers there along the Gulf Stream. Currently, we have 76 degrees, and that dew point temperature still not too bad in the mid-50s. That makes the humidity low. the GFS forecast. I showed you this earlier. Yesterday at this time, just to give you an idea how these models go back and forth, had the rain moving in around 10 a.m. for us. Big storms over the lower Mississippi Valley on Saturday. Some of these are going to be pretty big tornado makers, I think, and there's a real high likelihood that we will see tornadic activity over the lower Mississippi Valley. This is the time of year, the clash of the cold and the warm, moist air kind of really peak at this time of year, and that's the reason why you see those explosive thunderstorms. Notice what happens, though. All those yellows and reds kind of disappear as the storm gets close to us, or at least the front, and that's the result of the low pressure area kind of tracking off to the northeast. And the low pressure adds the most intense lift to the storm, and the front kind of loses a little of its intensity as it moves further away from it. We're still going to get some strong storms. We could even see some severe weather here. It's not out of the question, and it looks like that'll happen mainly Sunday afternoon, continuing up into Sunday evening. Then all the rain moves out, and look at the snow as far south as Tennessee over on Monday. That cold air will settle our way too, at least cooler air. Highs on Monday and Tuesday will be almost like, let's say, February as opposed to mid-April, and you'll notice the morning temperatures lower too. Well, over the Northeast, they're not getting snow, but it's rain mainly in Vermont, New Hampshire, and cold rain, though. It's kind of a cold day over parts of Vermont, New Hampshire. Warmer, though, in Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, and St. Louis today. Temperatures were in the upper 70s. Look at that snowfall, though, in the upper peninsula of Michigan and then into parts of Canada, although Montreal's seeing the rain now, and also into Ottawa. Well, some heavier snow developing over the northern Rockies. It's going to be a late ski season across much of the northern and central Rockies as a result of repeated storms moving throughout that area over the past couple of weeks now. And get a look at the temperatures now. Here's what's happening in the Northeast. 50 in Boston, 71 in Detroit, 78 in Kansas City, 83 in St. Louis. That's the temperature right now, 69 in Omaha. It'll be a little cooler tomorrow, but 85 in Oklahoma City. In fact, the colder air will spill in. All those cities I just showed you that are in the 70s are going to see highs only in the 50s, I think, by Sunday of next week. Tomorrow's highs, though, still warm in St. Louis, not in the 80s, but 70s. 77 in Cleveland, 39 expected high in Minneapolis. But all this cold Arctic air is going to start spilling in that direction. You'll see all those yellows and reds kind of disappearing. So if you're heading up north for a little while, make sure you keep your jackets and sweaters in the suitcase. Southeast winds turn to south. Will be 15 knots to start the morning, subsiding 5 to 10 late in the afternoon. Seas running 2 to 3 feet. So here's your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, most of the day sunny, just a few clouds in the afternoon. You'll notice a little bit higher humidity, 85 for your high. That's slightly above average. Saturday is really going to start to feel like summer. It'll be around just for one day. We get the storms on Sunday. Some could be strong. It'll be a first alert weather day. And then we cool off back into late February temperatures for Monday and Tuesday. Alan will be back with prime time headlines right after this.
I work hard all day, and this is why. But taking care of my money has never been easy. Brinks knows what's valuable to me, making it easy to keep track of my money and pay my bills on time.
Here's to the strong, to the dependable, to the trusted. Your family counts on you. Who can you count on? The Brinks Prepaid MasterCard. With direct deposit, you can get your paycheck or government payments up to 2 days faster.
I don't have time to wait for a paycheck, cash it, and then run around and pay bills. Brinks knows what's valuable to me. Time.
Call now or go online to get your Brinks Prepaid MasterCard. There's no cost to order and no credit check. Load money onto your card and then shop online, pay bills, buy groceries.
I get a text alert every time our card is used, so we always know our balance.
And we're protected from unauthorized transactions. Brinks gives us peace of mind.
With Brinks, you can conveniently manage your money online and with the mobile app.
I get cash back on everyday purchases. Brinks knows what's valuable to me, saving money.
Plus, you can load checks in minutes, anywhere with mobile check load. Call now or go online to get your Brinks Prepaid MasterCard. There's no credit check and no cost to order. And with a qualifying direct deposit, we'll upgrade you to Brinks Preferred with extra benefits. And in this TV-only offer, personalize your Brinks Prepaid MasterCard with your photo for added security. Manage your money on the go, anywhere, and get the peace of mind you deserve. Brinks knows what's valuable to you. Call right now to order your Brinks Prepaid MasterCard.
Call 1-800-282-9643.
There's no cost to order. Call now.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
Checking primetime headlines right now, President Trump is weighing military options for strikes on Syria. This week, the president suggested the strike could be imminent in response to a suspected chemical weapons attack by the Assad regime. But now Mr. Trump appears to be softening his rhetoric. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest from Washington.
The world waits to see if the U.S. and its allies will strike Syria.
We'll see what happens, folks. We'll see what happens. It's too bad that the world puts us in a position like that.
President Trump appears to be backing off earlier Twitter threats against Syria and its ally Russia that smart missiles will be coming after the latest alleged chemical weapons attack by the Assad regime. This morning, Trump tweeting, never said when an attack on Syria would take place. Could be very soon or not so soon at all.
The President of the United States of America says these missiles will be coming. That sounds to me and to the rest of the world like a decision.
Ahead of an afternoon National Security Council meeting with the president, Defense Secretary James Mattis was grilled by lawmakers.
We're trying to stop the murder of innocent people, but on a strategic level, it's how do we keep this from escalating out of control.
President Emmanuel Macron saying, quote, we have proof chemical weapons were used by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. But there's also this admission from Mattis.
I believe there was a chemical attack and we're looking for the actual evidence.
Congressional leaders also waiting on the president's next move.
I think it's important for us to help lead the international community to making sure that people are held accountable for these mass atrocities.
The Assad regime is denying the use of chemical weapons. Syria's ambassador to the UN announced his country will allow in international inspectors who are on their way to Syria. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
The publisher of the National Enquirer reportedly paid a former Trump building doorman to keep quiet. According to the New Yorker, National Enquirer publisher AMI paid $30,000 in 2015 to a former doorman at Trump Tower to prevent him from talking about a rumor Donald Trump fathered a child out of wedlock. According to the reports, he heard Trump fathered a child with a Trump employee in the late 1980s, and a statement AMI called the claim reckless, unsubstantiated, and false. The National Rifle Association is telling Congress reports it received money from Russia are true. The gun rights group sent a letter to congressional leaders saying it took contributions totaling $2,500 from at least 23 people with links to Russia. Most were the result of membership dues or magazine subscriptions. The NRA previously told ABC News it had received only one donation from a Russian since 2012. That's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.